Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for part number 2 of my first ever entry into a Grand Prix for Magic the Gathering, the Grand Prix San Jose. Woke up Saturday morning to the cats Edgar and Sabin playing vigorously with my contact case. It was literally the most fascinating thing that they had ever seen. Batting it left and right in alternating turns. It was very difficult to see that morning because the cats literally didn't want to give it back to me. They would hold it like that. And it's very hard to get a cat off a thing. But I managed to do it. Good. We nailed that. So the morning begins and it's time to head off down on to the Grand Prix San Jose. We drive down there, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I need to get breakfast. I need to make sure that I have my protein and my caffeine, because if I don't, what if I play bad? I'm really anxious. We enter into this hall, and it's packed. What was once the empty sea of tables and chairs is now filled with every type of nerd you could ever imagine in this tournament. So I'm like amazed. Like, even in the conversations as we go around, we talk to people, the variety of nerds cannot be emphasized enough. You get people like myself. I would describe myself as a casual tryhard. I want to win, but I'm not good. There's a lot of people like that there. You get the faux pros, as I call them, the people who are convinced that they're amazing but are really not. And that's when I told Jerry, you call that deck good with only 2 removals? A laugh that doesn't sound like a laugh that sounds like a hyena in a trash compactor. The faux pro. You get the people who are there drunk at freaking, I don't even have a watch. It's like 8 in the morning, and they're trash. And they're like, dude, come here, my wizards. Come here, my wizards. We're gonna battle, alright? We're gonna do it. It's gonna be a great time. And they're there to have fun. You get the depressed kids whose heart has been ruined by probability. You have a deck of cards that you've arranged, your recipe for what you think will be good. You're not always gonna draw what you think is optimal, because it's a deck of cards and that's the way probability works. So you get these people who are convinced always that they are the unluckiest person in the whole wide world, the person who's dejected thinking, if only I drew a land, all I had to draw was my Carnival Hellsteed. Why does God not give me a Loxodon Smiter? They get so mad. These are the people that even if they went 11-0 on the first day, went to day 2 undefeated and won the pro tournament, they wouldn't be happy. They would go, finally. There's tons of that kid there. There's, you know how, if you haven't played Magic, there's this conversational dynamic that emerges in gameplay that's just normal, where you sort of narrate what it is you're doing to just let the other person know. So you're like, okay, so I'm going to tap this mana, and I'm going to cast Annihilating Fire on your Splatter Thug to kill it, and then I will cast a Lobber Crew, and then I pass the turn. You just sort of say what it is that you're doing, and they're like, alright, I don't do anything about you killing my Splatter Thug. Alright, cool. But there's a special type of nerd who I would describe as being unable to help but roleplay. He's so drawn into the moment, the adrenaline's coursing through his system, and when he says a spell that he's casting, he has no control over the volume of his voice. I cast Grisly Salvage! I reveal the top 5 cards of my deck! Nothing dramatic's going on. He's looking at his deck, but he's screaming. He's not even looking at you. He's yelling at the table. Every kind of nerd that you could ever imagine is at this tournament. Is packed. So we find out what our deck assignment is. We find out what our table is. We sit down, and it's time to begin the registering. Table 646, we sit down, my heart is pounding. It's not time to play. This is what's actually going to go on. In about 20 minutes, we're going to sit down and we're going to write down the cards that we get dealt. Oh, I'm sorry, totally forgot about something. So while I'm wandering around, getting ready, I'm not doing anything. I'm just wandering around, just like, oh, just nervous. I'm trying to get rid of the anxiety and the adrenaline of getting ready to compete in something that I'm quite bad at, honestly. And I hear day 9, and I turn and I look, and it's fucking Richard Hagen. Or Hagon. I don't even know how to say his last name. He's the commentator for all the Magic the Gathering tournaments that I watch. And I was like, oh my god! Oh my god! I like need him because I've been watching the Pro Tour, and he has this amazing British accent. It's the British accent that no matter what he says, you believe him because it's British, right? He just he says it with such authority. He's the guy that in the zombie apocalypse, he'd be like, all right, don't worry, I'm a doctor. And you'd be like, well, he is, because listen to that accent. He could be just, I don't know, a teller at a bank, but he has the accent, man. So I really enjoy contrary, and he's like, oh, it's great to have you here. I love your work. And I'm like, oh my god, really? So then he says, oh, yes, let's bring you back behind the stage and you can do commentary. He doesn't say commentary, he says commentary because he's fucking educated. Bring you back and we'll do an interview, and if you want, you can cast. Look, I'm terrible at accents, but this is... It's dramatic, right? And I'm just like, ah! I mean, seriously, look, listen, it's like if you meet Megan Fox and she's like, oh, hey, you look stressed out. Do you need a massage? And you're like, I need a massage. I'm stressed. It doesn't matter what you're... Yes is the answer. So I'm like, oh, I shake his hand, he goes off, and now I have like the elation apparently moving up my right breast of meeting the anxiety of the tournament on the left breast, and it's all mixing together in my heart, and it hurts because I didn't have time to get my protein and my caffeine because we had to get there to do the tournament, okay? So we look at the assignment. Table 646, it's time to sit down. We have to register the decks. There's this thing that they do at the tournaments where they give you cards, and first what you do is you write down what the cards are. And you're not going to play with that deck. You write down every single one of those 180 cards, and then you put it away, and you hand it back to the judge, and they give it to someone else. And this is to ensure that no one does any cheating or anything like that. And even though all you have to do is write down cards and alphabetize the cards, I'm nervous. Everyone's seated down. There's literally a sea of nerds. I tweeted it. If you go to twitter.com/@day9tv, there should be a photo there of like a third of the crowd. And like my phone's shaking as I'm taking the photo. The judges come down. Apparently I said a phrase that wasn't a sentence. Apparently I said no one doesn't cheating, but that's fine. Let's make sure no one doesn't do any cheating. There we go. So the judges come down and they hand you a paper bag that has 12 packs of cards, a pen, and a sheet of paper with a deck list in it. And they lay it down on the table and it looks like a brick of cocaine there. There's this ominousness to it. Oh my god. And Case and Tristan have done this before. They totally naturally open up this brick of cards and they lay it out on the table, and then it's time to register the cards. Alright, here's how we're going to do the registering. It doesn't matter because all I have to do is shuffle them up and deal them out. Tristan is going to do the green and the blue and the color list. Case is going to do the white and the black and the multicolored cards, and I am going to do just red. All I'm going to do is red. That's all I can handle, and I'm the last person to get my stuff sorted. So we finally register our decks. We give them back. It's time for the genius, the scholar, and the liability to embark upon the construction of their decks. This is where I want to stop for a moment, and I want to slice in to just note what's particularly special about the tournament we're playing. Every few months, Wizards of the Coast, which makes Magic the Gathering, releases a new set that has some cool new special thing. You can envision it like a StarCraft expansion every few months. So it all has some theme to it. And the theme for this set for Return to Ravnica was multicolored things. Generally, a card is either a white card or a blue card, but now there's like black-red cards or white-blue cards. It uses both colors. Ugh. And I know artists are thinking that that's totally not exciting and non-original, but back off, and why don't you make a game, you freaking painter? Why don't you make some happy little trees, alright? This is some intense shit. I gotta make a deck with multicolored cards now? I'm stressed out. But that's okay, because I'm getting the black and the red. Tristan is getting the blue and the white. Case is getting the white and the green, and Case and Tristan are going to sort out. Who gets what white. So the judge gives us our brick of cards. We open it up and we begin. And now it's time to make the deck. So I get the black and the red. So I get all the black and the red, and I need to make 23 cards out of this. 23 cards. 23 cards are what I need from this. And I'm like, all right, okay, it's time to do it. Let's do it. This is the scene in the movie where someone entrusts their cat to some critical task. And there's a 5-minute sequence where it begins with the guy going, all right, Edgar, I need you to take this note to the chief of police. Edgar, the chief of police, and you can only use the laser pointer to guide him for so long. You need the cat to understand it. And there's that 5-minute sequence where the cat is sort of crawling along, it's getting distracted. What is that a contact case? And you're like, no, come on. And everyone is thinking, he needs to do the right thing. That's me. I'm the cat. Where Case and Tristan are like, here's the red. Here's the black. Don't fuck this up, Sean. Okay, 23 cards. Dainyan is going to do it. Okay. And I start sorting out, putting down the good ones. And I have 29 amazing cards. 29 amazing, pristine, incredible cards. Unbelievably good cards. You know the feeling of a girl you've been in love with for 3 years, and then you find out she's in love with you too? Fucking nothing compared to this feeling. 29 cards, and I need 23. I need to take the best of the best and say to 6 of them, you ain't good enough for this deck, and have 23 of the even better of the best, the cream of the crop, the Kobe beef of the cow is what I'm working with right now. And then Tristan says, Case, we got a problem. We don't have any blue. And everything fades away. We look at the blue cards that Tristan has. He has 26 blue. We had a decent number of blue cards. And then we start throwing in the combo blue cards, like the blue red cards and the blue white cards. Because again, multicolored is the theme of the set. And they're all crap. They're terrible. Even an inbred mongoloid like me looks at that and knows, oh my god, those cards are bad. I was screwed. Like, even a completely incompetent wizard like myself knew that we were not going to have any blue. Now, I told you, 5 divided by 3, it's not even a number, right? That's not even a thing. 4 divided by 3? God help us all. Mathematics is not even ready to process 4 colors divided by 3 freaking people. What? Oh my god. So I'm freaking out. And Tristan and Case have to work together. They have to figure out. They have to work really hard. And Case is moving stuff around. He's incredible. Case is such a powerful wizard. He's amazing. He's able to seamlessly move decks around and change cards. And after 45 minutes, we finally figure out we have the cards that we're going to need. We have Tristan playing a green-white deck, Case playing a black-green deck, and me playing the black-red deck. It was very difficult to do, but that's okay. With my 29 cards, I was able to hand case some of the extra black cards I had. We had 3 decks. Okay, let's do this. All right, we register. We're good. We're ready to rock. We submit our decks, we write everything down, and then they call us for round number 1. It's time for my first ever game of the Return to Ravnica Grand Prix, right? I'm ready to do this. This is where I need to introduce a Lobber Crew. A Lobber Crew is a very cool card. I'm sure you've played a game like chess, where every turn you can move 1 piece. In Magic, everything you have can do 1 thing per turn. And the way to denote this is to, if they've done something this turn, it turns sideways, and that's called tapping it. You tap it. Now, ordinarily, when you say, oh, I'm going to tap that, that means that you want to have sex with somebody. But in this game, tap means I have used this creature and will use it again next turn, as I will, as a powerful wizard. That's what it means. So, you tap your cards like this, and this is what Lobber Crew says. You can tap this to zap your opponent for 1 damage. Right? You tap and does 1 damage to him. When does it untap? At the start of your turn. Because remember, you can do this once a turn. So that's it. A Lobber Crew is a giant wall, right? He can sit there and he can defend, he can take it, and can zap him for 1 damage. So when is the best time to zap him, to ping him, to hurt him, to wound him? Not to deal 1 damage to him, no. I'm embedded in the lexicon of Magic now. Ping him, zap him, hurt him, wound him, stab him. Okay, stab's my own thing, but the best time is at the end of his turn, right? So when his turn's about to end, I tap it, hit him for 1, and then my turn starts, untap it. And it can sit as a wall of justice, preventing anything from hitting me. So game 1 of round 1 begins. I'm the A player, Case is the B player, and Tristan is the C player. That way, Case is the B player, sitting in the middle, so that way I can turn to him and be like, Case, I don't know what to do! Ah! I'm freaking out, helping him. All of us lose game 1. That's not a good start. Game number 2, all of us win. All right, looking good. So far, so good. I'm really stressed out. I'm strung out. So game 3 begins. There's a thing called doing a mulligan. When the game begins, you draw 7 cards, but they might not be the 7 cards you want to play with. You can put it back down, shuffle your hand back into your library, and draw another hand to begin the game with. But if you do that, you have to back down 1 card. So if you start with 7, and you mulligan, when you redraw, you can only draw 6. And if you hate those 6 and you want to mulligan again, you draw 5, and so on and so on and so forth. So one of the cool parts about the team tournament is that you can ask anyone in your team for advice at any point in time. So I draw my 7 cards, and they're bad 7, and I'm like, Case, I should mulligan this, right? And he's like, yeah, you should mulligan. So I'm like, okay. So I mulligan. And I draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh shit! And I said to my opponent, he saw me. I accidentally drew a 7th card. Do I just shuffle again and play it? And I'm upset because these 6 cards are the perfect 6 cards. They're perfect. They're exactly what I need. And he says, I don't know. Let's call a judge. Raise our hand. Judge comes on over. We explain to him what happened, and he says, oh, don't worry about this. This happens all the time. I know it's automatic to draw 7 cards, and you meant to draw 6. I get it. It's fine. Not a problem. You get a warning? And I'm like, well, a warning's not bad. I've been pulled over by the cops, and they've given me a warning. Meaningless. And then he says, you have to mulligan down to 5. And I'm like, it doesn't matter because I'm about to draw this card. And he's like, totally get it. Don't you worry. This happens to everyone. Now draw 5 cards. And I'm like, oh, and I like turn to Tristan and Case, and things are looking grim on Case's board, things are looking grim on Tristan's board, and I'm like, you guys have made a rule violation. And I draw the perfect 5 cards and get slain mercilessly. Seriously, it was like George R.R. Martin version of Slain, where things look good and all of a sudden you fucking die. And everyone's like, whoa! Oh my god, that's so cruel. He's such a good author, except this isn't fiction. This happened to me in round 1. And then Case wins, and then Tristan wins, and I'm like, we're 1-0! We're 1-0! We're 1. I literally want to jump. I'm so excited. I'm thrilled. Everything feels great. Alright, cool. It's time for round 2. We're up 1-0. We sit down for round 2. Now, something that I will note right now for any of you non-magic players, you need mana, which is the resources, to cast the spells, which take the mana, or take the land. It's what you gotta do, right? It's the standard. So if you draw no land, you lose really quickly. It's called getting mana screwed, or getting land screwed. So, game 1, my opponent gets mana screwed. He plays 2 lands, and then on his 3rd turn, he doesn't play a 3rd land. On his 4th turn, he doesn't play a 3rd land. And this is a weird feeling, because this honestly feels like they're like, alright, Sean, it's time for you to enter the boxing championship. In the round of 16, you're against a baby. And I'm like, a baby? I'm allowed to punch the baby? And they're like, well, if you want to win the boxing championships, you will. And I'm like, And then I punch the baby, and everyone was like, yeah! And I win game 1, and everyone's like, yeah, I hate it when that happens. Well, good game, let's go on to game 2. And I'm like, did I just sin? This is wrong, isn't it? Shouldn't we just try again? That seems unfair. And I soon learned that this is a great feeling. When you see your opponent on game number 3, or excuse me, on turn number 3 not play a land, you're like, not a 3rd land. I'm so sorry, buddy. It's a good feeling. So I kill him. Game number 2. I want to note this lobber crew that I talked about. Remember how the lobber crew works? At the end of his turn, I want to zap him, and then my turn starts. Undo it. And I know this. Game number 2, I keep forgetting to zap him with the lobber crew. He's at 5 life. So after 5 turns, my lobber crew will kill him. It's the end of his turn. I untap, I draw my card, and then I say, I didn't zap you. Well, okay. Next turn, I'll zap him. So I sit there and I'm thinking, I'm like playing my cards. Okay, he's at 5 life, I can't attack. Okay, pass the turn to you. He does his turn. He says, okay, I'm done with my turn. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Untap, draw my. Ah, shit! I didn't draw him with. I didn't. And then I hear Case to my left going, how many turns have you missed that lobber crew? And I'm like, 1. Why don't you back off and win for us, Case, asshole? Okay, we may have cost ourselves that friendship, but no one should know. No one should know. I'll remember on the 3rd turn. It's going to be okay. So game 2, I lose. In game 2, Case wins. So it's like Tristan's 1-1, Case is 1-0, I'm 1-1, Case is in some dramatic epic game. Tristan loses, Case wins. It's all to me. And I cleanly win game 3 because he got mana screwed again. Oh! And the most amazing thing happens. The most incredible thing happens in my body. I say, I must be pretty good at this game. You know, I don't want to think that because I hate that guy who gets happy when he wins, but I got happy when I won. And I remember going up to my friend Kevin, who's like a big-time Magic the Gathering legacy player. He's like a level 2 or 3 judge. He's like deeply embedded in the Magic community. He loves Magic. He's played competitively for 16 years. And I go up to Kevin and I'm like, hey, Kevin, how are you doing? Oh, you're 1-1? Oh, shucks. I'm 2-0. Yeah, 2-0. Yeah, it all came down to me in the second round, and I fucking zapped him with the lobber crew. And then I, like, stand up and I punch him in the kidneys, and I'm like, sorry, I got overexcited. There was too much adrenaline in my body. Kevin's a beast. He can take it. He understands. He's played Magic for 16 years. He's seen all sorts of wizards like me in his time. So I'm like, all right, I need to chill. I need to relax. It's time to focus. Match number 3 begins. In the tournament, if you're high enough rated, or if you've won enough matches before the tournament, you get a bye for the first 2 rounds. So this is where I should apologize, because I forgot to mention that the tournament is 11 rounds. And if you have 3 losses, you're out. 2 losses or less, you move on to day 2. So we're trying to get to 9-2. That's all we got to do, and we're 2-0 right now. We're 2-0. Good. So we go into round 3. This is the first round where all those people who got a bye for the first 2 rounds are actually playing. They're actually going to be playing for the first time ever. My opponent draws no land, but I also draw no land. It's intense. I try to stay calm. I get out a lobber crew, and I start zapping him one at a time, zapping him. He's drawing no land. He's having to discard him, zapping him. I'm zapping him at the end of his turn. I play some creatures. I swing at him. He has 1 life left. I forget to zap him. You start with 20 life. If you get down to 0, you die. He's at 1. I don't zap him. It hurts my soul, but I'm like, that's fine. I'll zap him next turn. And you know what I do next turn? I zap him. Win the game. I'm 2-0. Case wins 2-0. Tristan wins 2-0. We're starting to get good. I will note right off the bat, this only has meaning to Magic players. My friend Case destroyed someone who played a turn 2 pack rat. Yes. Twice. That is Case Kiyonaga. That guy is a bad ass. And extremely polite and very deferential and will never make you feel like an idiot. Case. So we went 3-0, so now we're 3-0. It's time for match number 4. It's time for match number 4. And we sit down. And every single one of our opponents in match number 4 is wearing a Star City Games shirt. Star City Games, as many of you know, hosts many tournaments. It's a pro team. These guys are pros. We're out of the woods. These aren't ordinary Grand Prix attendees. These are not your by-the-book wizards who yell a little bit too loudly or who get dejected at the sign of poor luck. No. These are Star City Games pros. I sit down against my opponent, and he stares at me with these dead eyes of a killer. He, in my eyes, is just another guy who enjoys playing games. Hey, what's up? I'm Sean. He tells me his name. But I can see from the tone of his voice, I'm just meat to him. Look, they were nice guys, but fuck you, this is a story, alright? They're killers, alright? Just listen to me, okay? Look. He looked at me with the eyes of a killer. I was just another pile of robes. I was just some fucking wizard, right? I was nothing to him. And here's the thing. Everything about them screamed wizard glamour. The card sleeves that they put their cards in were not ordinary colored plastic. No, they were exquisite, expensive. They were like velvet card sleeves. Every time he drew a card, it would be like... The deck box that he kept his deck in referenced some historic moment. Like Grand Prix Shanghai 1766. And you're like, fuck, was he there? But you'll never know, because the red rings under his eyes let you know that he might not even be human. This is a story, remember. Just relax. Game 1, it's terrifying. He slaughters me. Case loses his game 1. Tristan wins his game number 1 far at the other end. Game number 2 begins. Case destroys his opponent very quickly, and I'm sitting there, I'm taking my time. Zap him with the Lobber Crew, Sean. Don't forget to zap him with the Lobber Crew. Don't forget. You can do this, Sean. Just wait. Just don't forget. And I'm mumbling to myself. I'm like, Lobber Crew, Lobber Crew, Lobber Crew. I sounded like some sort of dog that had its bark removed that was trying to communicate. I sounded crazy. I don't care. I'm ready to zap him with the Lobber Crew. I'm ready to zap him and tap him. Game number 2 is very long. In fact, Case has almost won his game number 3 by the time I'm in the middle of my game 2. And I look over, and Tristan and his opponent don't have decks. There's nothing. There's not card mats. There's not deck boxes. No dice. No cards. No game being played. They're watching Case's match. And I'm like, what's going on? Did Tristan win? And Case says, the judges came by to do a deck check. And in a deck check, this is what happens. The judge comes by and takes the deck of cards that you have and the remaining cards that are called the sideboard. Remember way back at the start when we're making our decks, we get 180 cards, 23 of them go into our decks. The remaining cards go into the sideboard. And this is just to make sure that, like, okay, you have these 23 cards. The cards you're not playing with, you're not cheating, are you? You're not swapping anything in and out. They take everything back to a computer and they just make sure that there's no BS. So I'm like, oh, okay. And as I'm doing that, another judge comes by and says, what is this? And points to a yellow box that's Tristan's deck box. And Tristan says, well, this is my deck box, but I already gave the guy my cards. And the guy says, did your deck come out of this box? And Tristan says, well, I mean, no, I've had it on the ground, but I mean, I moved from round to round with it, but I started the game with my cards here and my sideboard here. And the guy says, but was your deck in this at any point? And Tristan says, well, yeah. So and the guy says, I need to take this card. So the judge takes the box, and Tristan says, but there's 3 cards in there that are not in my deck that I'm giving to a friend. And there's that moment of, oh, shit. There's that moment where you go to the LAX airport and they say, we just briefly need to search your car. Every 10th car we're searching. And it's suddenly, but wait a minute. I'm transporting assault rifles and they're my friends. Look, none of you can relate to this unless you play Magic. I can't make the analogy work. They take his box with these 3 cards in it and they go check and they come back. And I'm playing game 2. It's intense. I win by the skin of my teeth because I remember to zap them. But I stop after game number 3 because I'm overhearing the debate that Tristan and Case are having with the judges. The judges are being very polite. Case and Tristan are being very polite. But suddenly there's this discussion going on where Tristan is trying to explain, I wasn't keeping my deck box on the table. I was putting it down. I know that there were cards to trade in there. That's why I was trying to separate them. And they said, yes, but you have to have a deck box for each round in the tournament so that way we can clearly delineate what's going on. Maybe I'm making shit up, but this is about the conversation that was going on there. And they apologize profusely to Tristan. I'm playing game number 3. I win game 3 very quickly. Why? Because he got mana screwed, and apparently it's legal to punch a baby in a Magic tournament. So I did that. I won 2-1. Case had lost 1-2. So now all of a sudden, it was all what was up with Tristan. And they explained to him, Tristan, you lose game number 2. You get a game loss. You don't lose the best of 3, you get a game loss. So that means that Tristan and his opponent are 1-1. Now again, at the Grand Prix, you do get to sit down and sit beside your players, and you can communicate with them as much as you want. As long as it's not someone literally pulling the strings and Case is playing and Tristan's doing everything he says, as long as that's not the case, that's okay. So there's a 30-minute time extension. I'm nervous. I have to use the bathroom, but there's a 30-minute time extension because that's how long Tristan and Case were discussing with the judges what should go on. And now it means that they're tied 1-1. It goes on to game 3. And whoever wins game number 3 wins the round for the team. So I sit to Tristan's left. Case sits to Tristan's right. It's time to go into game number 3. We'll find out what happens in game number 3 in part number 3. See you for that.